So, travel means something different to me now. When I was younger, I traveled to places like London, Paris, Madrid, also the Bahamas. But then life happened marriage, children, work. I started homeschooling, other family obligations and responsibilities. And then years went by, and eventually I found myself spending 111 days in Kigali, Rwanda. As I prepare for my next international adventure, I realized something. Travel isn't just about collecting passport stamps anymore. It's become one of the ways I'm reclaiming part of myself that I thought I left behind. So if you are in a season where you're wondering, is it too late for me? Then grab your smoothie or cup of tea and join the conversation. Let's go. So, this is not another travel video. This is really about what happens when you decide your story isn't over. Now, in your 20s, you're moving and shaking. You got your whole life ahead of you. You're not really thinking about too much. I mean, maybe, but it's a little different. Your mindset is a little different. But what if your 40s and 50s are actually the beginning of your greatest adventure? What if? So let me just kind of go back a little bit. Teenage years. So when I was a teenager, I think I was in the 11th grade or so, 17, and I was able to go on a trip to London, Paris, and Madrid. It was a school trip. It was our Spanish and French class that actually traveled. And we thought it was everything. Had never seen that side of the world. And so we had the time of our life. But something, started really churning in my brain and in my heart. So even after that, we had a school trip to the Bahamas. That was the graduation trip that next year. And so I knew just seeing the different places, the way people live, what they ate, that was my favorite part. I knew I wanted to be part of that travel scene. And then life got busy, really busy. I went off to college, study, study, study. I had a very challenging major and another major, so I had a double major. Then ended up getting married and then also having children, worked in the workplace for a while, and I just realized that I have my ringer on. And life got busy, just really busy. And I got so wrapped up in homeschooling, 15 years. I graduated my children about a year ago. And then in the midst of that, we actually were able to it was part of a business trip for my husband to Rwanda. And that opened up my eyes so much more. You see things on TV and it's just like, you have to set your feet on that place. And it was just like, it felt familiar, the air. It just felt so great. And just being able to connect with the locals and the food, so fresh, so fresh. And then again, something happened months later that had us shut in for months. And then things were not the same. And I didn't think I was going to ever be able to get out and see the world like I planned to. Because you don't even realize it. Things come up and just based on your routine, sometimes you can get stuck in that place. But as I looked over the years, I realized every decision I was making was pointing me back towards something I'd always loved: adventure, freedom, and that laptop lifestyle where I could actually work anywhere. But somewhere along the way, between all those responsibilities, work, and taking care of everyone else, I lost part of myself. Can anyone relate? Am I just talking to myself? I'm sure someone can relate. So, what's next then? What do you do? What do you do? So, what I come to realize that my adventures didn't disappear. I didn't lose my ability. I didn't lose my dreams. I just stopped making room for them. I didn't have time. That's a story you can tell yourself. And if you tell yourself long enough, you'll start believing it. Reinvention begins with permission. We don't stop dreaming because we get older. Sometimes we stop dreaming because life gets loud, so loud. You can't think. Sometimes you can't breathe. That's why breath work is really good. We'll have to talk about that at a later date. But life just be lifing, as my cousin says, life be lifing. I've realized that travel doesn't just change the places we see, it changes the way we see ourselves. Let's say that again. I've realized that travel doesn't change the places we see, it changes the way we see ourselves. And that's why the next season of travel feels different. I'm not traveling to escape my life. I'm traveling because I've intentionally built a life that makes room for adventure again. And as I get ready for my upcoming trip, I am realizing that more and more, being more intentional. So, travel reminds me of these things that I still can be curious. I'm curious. I can still learn. I can still adapt as I'm watching my rabbit just walked. It startled me. I can still be uncomfortable. I can still surprise myself. But maybe your version of travel isn't going to different places. Like I will be going to Egypt soon. And maybe that's not your version of travel going to Egypt. Maybe your version is starting a business or maybe going back to school, maybe finally taking a day trip. I know I had a conversation today with someone in the office, and it's break time, the furlough is coming up, and just like, okay, why not take a day trip by yourself? Just just some time. You can't get away for a long time. Taking a day trip and just seeing something. Maybe go to the next city over would be something. That's something you're interested in. The next city over, if they have new shops. I know the next city over where we live, there's a new general store and it's local vendors and they have all kinds of new things. Fresh baked breads, they have fresh uh, with jams, they have fresh a little bit of fresh produce. They have meats. So, I mean, even just doing that, maybe you might want to do that on the trip back home. That way, you won't have to worry about taking your cooler. But if you want to take your cooler, you can take your cooler and put those items in that cooler. But you get what I'm saying. So, the destination isn't the point, the decision is. The destination isn't the point, the decision is. So, my question for you is, what is something you've been wanting to do, but you've been putting off because you thought it was too late? What is something that you've always wanted to do, but you've been putting it off because you thought it was too late? It is never too late to begin again. It's never too late to reclaim your time. It's never too late to start mapping out your next vacation, the vacation you didn't think you needed. It's never too late to travel, whether it's international or local, whatever it may be. It is never too late for you. So, one decision today can become the beginning of a completely different chapter. How does that sound for you? Having a completely different chapter just by making one small decision, even if it's going and typing out something or going to Pinterest and pinning, starting a new board and pinning your travel destinations. What? That's fun. We need to do that, right? Now, if this conversation encouraged you today, I'd love for you to subscribe to the Midlife Time Traveler. That's where I am right now. This channel is where I'm documenting my journey of reinventing life through travel, wellness, AI, and intentional living. And I hope it inspires you to create your own new chapter or your own next chapter. Until next time, while you have the day, make the most of today. Bye for now.